So the reason, like what we were saying, like the reason I got interested in this like housing thing was because, well, first it affects me, right?
Yeah.
And it affects basically like everybody I know.
Yeah.
But I always thought of it as like a separate thing to like anything I was working on.
Sure.
You know, like, I don't know why I thought it was like a separate thing, but I was just like, it's just a different
world.
Yeah. Different world, different subject.
Yeah.
But it's totally not a separate thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, let's just take like a simple example of like technology or like creating startups.
Sure.
Okay. So when people talk about whether it's easy or not to create a startup in Toronto, for example, you know, they'll talk about things like how much money you like early stage capital you can get or something like that, right? Or where the talent is or isn't, or what the culture is like and all of that kind of stuff. But another kind of thing that nobody ever talks to, which is like definitely related, is the idea that if somebody is spending like 80% of their time thinking about how they're going to pay rent, or like how their their financial life is going to make like any fundamental sense. Yeah. If 80% of their mind shares like is fixated on that, how can you expect that person to create like a world-changing like company? Totally. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there's even the thought that like when you raise money, what you're ultimately doing is you're raising a runway, right? Yeah. And that's like a function of how many dollars you raise, but also how far do those dollars go? Yeah. If rent is double what it would be, you know, in another city, that means you have to pay people more just so that they could cover their rent, and your runway is shorter.
How did you, I guess maybe you can just explain, like, how did you get into this? Like, what is Toronto standard? Maybe you can explain this, and let's talk.
Yeah, well, kind of like starting today and working backwards. So Toronto Standard is a real estate development company that I'm a partner in. I started it with my brother and another partner, another guy named Chris. So relatively new company. We started it January of last year. We kind of specialize and focus in on mid-rise housing development. Yeah. We had done some projects together before we started this company. We just didn't do it as a full-time focus. We didn't do it under kind of like a unified brand. But, you know, my entry into housing generally, it might be actually like not too dissimilar from yours. I worked in software agencies. I was like much more kind of focused on tech and that sort of thing. But then I started noticing that this housing issue was something important. Around like 2017, I started really noticing that prices were rising, rents, the price to buy a house. And I started like trying to understand why. And this kind of like tracked what was going on in the Bay Area, where I think they're much further along, both in terms of their tech scene, of course, but also in terms of the housing being a big problem. And I saw tech guys there getting into this, what's called the YIMBY movement, the Yes in My Backyard movement, trying to kind of like advocate for regulatory change to make housing more available and affordable. And through that process, I started kind of getting into housing as a policy issue. I started hosting events with urban planners, municipal lawyers, that sort of thing. And through this kind of like process of going from working in tech to doing some housing advocacy stuff, ultimately ended up as a real estate developer.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what have you what do you make of the situation in Toronto? Give me a general overview of it. Like, what's your take on what's happening?
Yeah, like one way I've heard it put, I don't know who said this, is we're effectively paying 5-star hotel prices for a 3-star hotel. Like it's a great city. I grew up here. I love Toronto. But it's like we're paying like Manhattan prices, and it's not Manhattan. And I think a big part of the reason for that is we're not building as much housing as we need to accommodate a growing population in a city that like people like living in and moving to. And that's, to your point, that's kind of like affecting every part of everybody's lives, especially young people who didn't get to like buy a house, let's say pre-2010 when things were still affordable.
So this piece that you wrote, like I read this piece you wrote in the Hub, and I thought the conclusion was interesting. It's like the most recent piece. Is it okay if I read this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so it says, as noted above, the naming and shaming of municipal politicians who continue to prioritize the physical character of their neighborhoods over the potential dynamism, growth, and ability to house young and new Canadians will be necessary. The fight over new housing permissions is ultimately a fight for the future. The strategies and tactics proposed for that fight are critical and should be critically considered, as are the conviction and the will of the fighter. So can you like unpack this for me? I thought this was like really interesting.
Yeah, I think like, ultimately cities are growing dynamic systems. They have been historically, But through regulations that we've introduced, mostly since about the 1970s, we've made them much more stagnant. We've made the decisions that inform the regulation are much more about preserving and protecting the past than preparing for and building the future. And I think that is kind of like obvious if you drive around the city, or even maybe it's more obvious even if you fly out of the city. Let's say you fly out of Billy Bishop.
Yeah.
You'll notice that there are pockets of Toronto that have a lot of development, a lot of high-rise development, and things are typically pretty dynamic, and that's where most people are moving to. Because
can we look at this on a map?
Yeah. So if you go to, I don't know, even if you go to like Google Images, Toronto from the sky or something like that.
Google Maps and then just zoom out.
Oh, yeah, or Google Maps. What you'll notice is that the majority of Toronto's land area is these detached and semi-detached 1- and 2-story houses. With again, these like rare pockets of density. So I don't know if you could go 3D on here. Yeah, or even there are some good Google image kind of like shots from above. Let's see. And just while that comes up, I'll say that this was effectively like a grand bargain was struck.
What do you mean by a grand bargain?
So you have some people who understand that cities need to grow, that people have kids, that immigrants move to cities. You need new housing, you need new density, you need places for these people to live. Then you have other people in the city who have this status quo bias. They like the way their neighborhoods look and feel, and they don't really want them to change. Let's say if you search Toronto from the sky, let's see if there's a...
You need like a really wide view because it's like a sprawl, right?
Okay, so let's see. So even like second from the right, it's a little grainy, like on the top line there. Yeah, even if you zoom it a little bit, but even there, you kind of see how the bottom part of the image is like super flat, and then above it is tall.
Why is that?
And basically the grand bargain that was struck is that we've decided that most of the city should be, the term in urban planning is stable. It should have a stable character. And that in some parts of the city, we could accommodate growth. And these are parts of the city that historically have had like parking lots and commercial spaces. So even in this image, like a lot of these new towers are the old, well, I guess the current entertainment district, but where we used to have a lot more parking lots, you could build a tower, you're not disturbing anyone because nobody really lived there. But wherever you do have people living in these low-rise neighborhoods, with some rare exceptions that we could talk about, you pretty much can't touch it. So instead of having a city that like goes from low rise to mid rise to high rise, this is how cities have historically grown. If you track, let's say Manhattan over the last 200 years,
low rise to mid rise to high rise, like this linear kind of building.
Yeah, that's right. Like just kind of like progressively evolving to a higher built form. What we have instead are some parts of the city that are completely stagnant. And in fact, they're losing population. Like most of these neighborhoods in Toronto have fewer people per acre than they had in the 70s.
That's crazy.
That's absolutely, like we have neighborhoods where schools are closing in Toronto while you have other parts of the city that are kind of bursting at the seams, like Midtown,
How is that
downtown.
Possible?
It's because of our land use rules and our urban planning.
So it's because of the way that land is configured.
Look at this. So even if you zoom out a little bit, most of what you see is low-rise 1-, 2-story housing. And then you could kind of see downtown. There's a little pocket in Midtown.
Can we zoom in a bit there? Wow.
And this is not even just like the inner burbs, like Etobicoke and Scarborough, but even if you think about the neighborhoods around Trinity Bellwoods, which are pretty kind of proximate to downtown, it's 1-, 2-story detached and semi-detached housing. That would not be the case in a city that was built, 100 years pre-zoning.
Wow. So what does this mean then? And like, is this problem or this kind of situation unique to Toronto?
It's somewhat unique to the Commonwealth, interestingly enough, like English speaking world and countries.
This is nuts.
And then what makes it more true of Toronto than let's say Boston, Philadelphia, or New York is that many of these rules really came into effect in the 60s and 70s and have just kind of like ratcheted up in terms of their severity ever since. So if a city hit its growth stride before, let's say the 50s, it probably doesn't look like this. Manhattan, Boston, and Philadelphia don't look like this. But if a city hit its growth stride as we did, in like the late 90s, early 2000s, this is what it looks like. I like to joke that Montreal is actually Canada's only real city, and it's because it grew before zoning kind of clamped down on natural growth.
Yeah, let's see Montreal's. Yeah, that's really interesting. So there was a prevailing idea at the time about how to handle zoning. And depending on when you started making a lot of those decisions, right? You're adopting that kind of philosophy.
Yeah, the 1970s, this is like the boomer generation, was really into this idea of civic activism and engagement, and basically getting involved in politics in a way that prior generations hadn't. And you know, in the past, if you thought like, I wouldn't want an apartment building in my neighborhood, it wasn't really up to you. Like you just live in a city, it's growing, and if you don't like it, you can move to another neighborhood or another city. The boomers, maybe it's because they have more self-esteem or something, they just started fighting back, and they kind of like spawned this NIMBY, this not in my backyard movement, where if they don't want something in their neighborhood, they're going to make sure they fight to not have it in their neighborhood. They're going to elect counselors who fight to not have it in their neighborhood. And we're kind of like living with the consequence of that.
Okay. So let me like try to summarize this a little bit to make sure I understand. Yeah. So basically the reason why houses or property or whatever, or like living expenses are so high right now, relative to like a place like Manhattan, like we're not Manhattan.
Sure.
So why are we paying Manhattan prices?
That's right.
And the reason why it's happening is because the way we've configured the land, like the way we're using the land, the way we're using the land is causing the side effect of it being really expensive.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's not a lot. So the demand is
totally
high.
And the supply is not.
The supply is low.
That's right. Yeah, prices are a function of supply and demand. Yeah. To the extent that your city is attractive and your country is attractive, which both Toronto and Canada are, people are going to want to move there. And in a properly functioning market, you would have like a supply response to that demand. People would build more housing, but we have rules through these official plan and zoning bylaw documents that prevent us building as much housing as we need.
Okay. And then when you break that down, so obviously the next question is like, well, why? Why is it like that? Why is it not changing?
Yeah.
And when you ask why, you get to this thing called the YIMBY and NIMBY thing, which is essentially the why is culture.
Yeah.
Right.
It's culture. It's you know, a lot of people don't go this far, but like at the bottom of it, it's democracy. The way that democracy works is that you don't have elections pulling from a random sampling of your constituency. Like some demographics vote more reliably than others. If you're older, you probably vote more than if you're younger. If you're a homeowner, you probably vote more than if you're a renter. And that means that those people's preferences are kind of overweighted through this process. And their preference obviously, or often, is maintain the status quo. I don't want any more cars. I don't want any more shadows. I don't want any more people in my neighborhood.
So why you clearly want to see this change, right?
Yeah.
Why?
You know, the first motivation pre even being a real estate developer was that I grew up in Toronto. I love Toronto. I want Toronto to continue its ascent as a global city. I think that's a cool ambition for us to have as a city. And ultimately, I think that takes more growth and more people with ideas, kind of like sharing their ideas. Like the reason to live in a city in the first place, as opposed to a suburb or like a small town, is for access to more people doing more things with more ideas that you could interact with. And to the extent that you cap that, you're kind of like handicapping a city's ability to be a city. So I just think it's good for Toronto, and also what's good for Toronto, I think is good for Canada. So I think this is kind of like a national project. And you know, I grew up in Toronto at a time when it was not all that unaffordable for like service workers to live in the city. Now you have a lot of service workers that have to commute into the city from the burbs because they can't afford it. It's just not a good way to run a society, I don't think.
Have you ever seen like a situation like this? Like, is there any example of a city being in a situation like this and then changing? Yeah. Like, have you found anything like that historically, or anything interesting?
We're starting to see like some change now. We could talk about that like throughout the again, I mentioned the Commonwealth, the Anglosphere, because this does seem to be like, for some reason, an Anglosphere problem. The YIMBY
What's
movement,
the Anglosphere again?
It'd be like all former British colonies.
All former. Why would it be a former British colony thing?
It might be a function of like common law, how common law works, or maybe how our democracy works. It's kind of like a representative democracy. You know, if you live in Shenzhen and you don't want a tower in your neighborhood, like nobody cares what you want. They're building a tower in your neighborhood. We have like, you know, something that sounds obviously very good, like a very empowered citizenry, but often citizens have conflicting priorities, and we've just again prioritized the priorities of people who vote more. So we're starting, like the YIMBY movement has actually been quite effective over the last 10, 15 years. So we're starting to see some positive reform.
Why is that?
Because the problem is getting that bad. It's becoming that acute. Like this is an issue that, in federal politics in Canada, nobody talked about 10 years ago. Now it's probably a top 2 issue in our federal politics.
Yeah, for sure.
Provincial politics didn't talk a lot about housing. Now, again, it's like a top 2 issue. Municipal politics
What's the top one? Like what's the
I guess it depends on who you are.
Sure,
but like provincially, the big ones are healthcare, education, housing, and then maybe things like traffic congestion and transportation, fiscal issues and like debt levels and that sort of thing. I for what it's worth, I think housing is number 1 across all levels of government. Sure. But if you own a house, if you don't have young kids who are looking for a house, if you're pretty stable in your living arrangement, maybe you prioritize other things. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you're seeing like some changes in the Anglosphere. So
in Toronto specifically, this was in 2023, I believe, we introduced something called the Multiplex bylaw, where for the first time, the operative language in our official plan was that in these neighborhoods, any new development has to respect and reinforce the existing physical character, which means
say that again. Every new development
has to respect and reinforce the existing physical character.
So what does that mean?
So it means if you're in a neighborhood full of detached 2-story houses, you can't build, a 4-story house or a 4-story walk-up apartment building or anything like that, because it's out of character with the neighborhood.
I see.
And
how
really,
is that defined?
So that language, that specific language that I quoted, that's in our official plan. So
but that's like say you're working on a creative project.
Yeah.
That would be like a very subjective.
In planning, they often look at things like height. They look at things like width, depth, lot pattern, like the size of your lot itself. So if you have a neighborhood full of like 40-foot lots, they probably won't let you sever it to have 2 20-foot lots. But very recently, so this was kind of like the operating principle in Toronto's neighborhoods until about 2023, when we introduced the Multiplex bylaw, where for the first time, at least since I've been paying attention to this issue, we're now allowing for a little bit of intensification in our neighborhoods. So back then it was, you could now build a 3-story, 4-unit multiplex on any residential lot anywhere in the city, even if it is out of character with the neighborhood. That's recently been updated for some parts of the city to 6 units in 3 stories.
Oh.
And it's a little bit, there's a little of it's a little too little and a little too late, to my mind. So we have to do more, but it does signal, it's just not enough. Like the amount of new housing we need in Toronto versus what we're building, like we're orders of magnitude off.
Do you know how much housing like we need? Is there any documentation or anything about it?
There was all these things kind of rely on population growth projections.
Yeah.
And I have a criticism of these generally where well, my criticism is that if you just don't build enough housing, your population will grow slower than it might otherwise have grown. So these are kind of like dependent variables, and it doesn't make much sense to just treat population growth as its own thing and how much housing we build as a separate thing.
So dumb question. Why is that?
If you have less housing becomes more expensive, and more people move to, let's say, Mississauga, Brampton, Ajax, and Pickering, who would, in a different world, if we had built enough housing in Toronto, move to Toronto.
Right.
So there's like a version of history, like there's an alternate universe where we build much more housing and much more people live in Toronto.
And if it's just generally expensive everywhere, then they just don't even come to Canada.
They might not come to Canada, or even if they're here, they might leave Canada, which of course a lot of people are. They might go to Alberta, which a lot of people are. Yeah. So people kind of like respond to prices and like plan their lives around it. So there's this one number where the province a couple of years ago set a target of building 1.5 million additional homes by 2030. And Toronto's allocation of that was like 265,000, I believe. And both Toronto and the province are not gonna hit those numbers.
Is it hard to build a home?
Yeah, it is hard to build a home.
Like, not in terms of the policy and all this kind of stuff, but I mean like the actual like work, like
the actual
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, is like 1.5 million homes like how futuristic of a target is that? How,
I think it's totally achievable, and we could actually blow past it if we had like a policy environment.
So let's say all the policies are like...
We could do it. We could totally do it. And the reason we know we could do it is because other cities in the world do this all the time. Like Chinese cities, Shenzhen 20 years ago was a pretty small and sleepy town. Now it's a major global city.
Right.
We're not building houses because we don't have enough lumber or bricks or metal cladding, or whatever. It's because of policy.
Damn. So,
which means this is totally self-inflicted.
Yeah.
Which is both kind of like depressing because why would you do that? But also it could give you some optimism in the sense that like if we just change some paperwork, we could fix this problem. Like we don't need any new engineering solutions.
The only time, so I've been like researching, because I've been like I'm looking and I'm talking to people about like the housing like crisis or situation, and then another thing that I talk to people about is like how Canadian productivity is declining.
Yeah,
and so those are two kind of like interesting variables to me, right? Like the way I personally see it is I'm just looking at it as like a system.
Yeah,
and the goal of the system, in my opinion, like if the system was Canada, the goal, in my opinion, is to create a system that produces things that are like valuable to the world.
Yeah.
You know, like to become a country that is an example of what it means to be a great country, an optimally designed country. Yeah. You know, one that helps humanity progress forward to whatever its next intended state is. And so when I look at those two variables, like productivity declining and like the housing thing, I just look at it as like, oh, the state of the system is kind of fucked up.
Totally.
Relative to producing like greatness or great outcomes, you know?
Yeah.
And so far, I'm still early in my research. The only time I've seen a country like switch around and shift is when things got bad.
Yeah.
Like here, it's interesting because people are talking about this and they're saying like it's a choice, and with the housing crisis specifically. And I just kind of wonder like, oh, just maybe it's like not bad enough here yet, you know?
Yeah.
I did a little bit of research on China and like how they turned around, and they had like a certain like flavor of like communism that was leading to like their current state. And the new prime minister had to come in, and I've said this like a few times, but it's like he kind of like said, look, it doesn't matter if the cat is black or white as long as it catches mice.
Yeah.
And that was like they had to adapt their like foundational core values in order to like move past the state. And there was like there must have been some kind of like agreement, like, or the majority agreement where they said like, what we're doing is just like not working because we're fucked now.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, like, is that like kind of like what it takes, you know?
I think it might be, and then the question is, how bad does bad have to be? Yeah. I think something that a lot of Canadians don't realize, and I think this is maybe more true of older Canadians than younger Canadians, is how much richer America has gotten versus Canada over the last 10 years. It used to be that we were pretty kind of neck and neck on things like per capita GDP and opportunity. We've basically flatlined for a decade. Mm-hmm. They've not. And Ontario, you know, as one kind of data point, would be the third poorest U.S. state if it were a U.S.
Really?
state. It would be. Yeah, this is kind of like purchasing power parity adjusted per capita GDP. We'd be the third poorest U.S. state, and I don't think most people realize that, and maybe they need to travel more. We still kind of think of ourselves as like all in line, like us, Western Europe, America. We're all kind of like first world. If we're first world, America is something else because it's much, much richer than us. And I hope that relative difference at some point seeps into the culture and kind of prompts us to want to do things differently. And that we don't need like to be in a really, really bad state before we start questioning some of these things.
Isn't that like extremely disappointing?
It is extremely disappointing. Yeah.
Like you have like all of these smart people like everywhere. This is nuts.
Well, like another way to, you know, again, maybe be optimistic about this. There's a saying that science advances one funeral at a time.
Yeah. Like, what does that mean?
It means that you need kind of like old people with old ideas to die for new people with new ideas to take their place. And there might be something, as grim as that sounds, there might be something to that in urbanism as well, where, you know, the people who are most opposed to any change in their neighborhoods typically are older. When we deal with our development applications, if I go on a call with city staffers, I could kind of guess to some extent their attitude based on how old they are before they even start speaking. Like if they're younger, they're going to be less hostile.
Really?
Yeah, generally speaking.
And if they're older, they'll be more?
They'll be more hostile.
What's the hostile like?
Hostile is like, we don't want this height. We don't want this many units. We don't want this density.
Are they like angry?
Yeah, well, they're just more oppositional. It's going to be more of a fight. It's going to increase, you know, our costs on our lawyers, on our planners, on everything else to kind of like jump through more hoops that are thrown at us. Whereas sometimes we'll speak to younger, let's say people from the community planning department or urban design department, and they're like, yeah, this is cool. Here are a few tweaks we'd like you to make, but this is pretty cool. And it might just be that we need to kind of like refresh which voices are more prominent in our society.
Yeah. I think like if you want change, right, it's kind of hard to hear that you just got to wait though.
Yeah. Well, this is why a lot of people are moving. I hate to say it, but when I have a lot of like young people reach out asking about career advice and that sort of thing. And if they're like 20, solid career, pre-family, I think I say you should seriously think about the US as a viable path. And I'm saying this as someone who is both kind of like culturally committed to Toronto, but also financially committed to Toronto. We rent, apartments in Toronto. But I think, on the individual level, that's often the right advice to, move to Austin or something, and I want that to not be true, but I think it is true right now.
Do you think something I always wonder about is like, what's possible in terms of the speed of change? So let's say like, okay, so you've kind of framed up this problem very well. And you're saying that a key element of this problem is culture and policy and the way we think about how we can use the space or how we cannot use it. So so that's the problem space. So one way of navigating it is to say, well, who's defining the culture? And maybe when they're no longer around, that culture will change.
Yeah.
Sure. But that's like a waiting game, right?
Yeah.
And so there's got to be other ways to interact with this like problem space. And I'm really curious, like my hope would be that I would love for Toronto to be a place where like the speed of iteration and the speed of experimentation and the speed of output is like fast.
Yeah. Agreed.
Like where it's like, holy shit, the city is like, this is exciting.
Yeah.
This is like moving.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you're seeing, whether it's in like real estate or any areas where you're seeing glimpses of something like that could be happening? Is there like a groundswell of movement and stuff happening? Because I feel like you mentioned, it's a top 2 issue with like and like with amongst like politics.
Yeah.
In politics. But I also think what's happening is like I find more people are also discussing it day to day, just like regular conversations. And, and more people are like frustrated by it and thinking about asking themselves what their long-term future is with Canada. Why is Canada doing things like this way? Like I don't remember. I was born in North York, and like I don't remember people talking about this stuff this much.
No, because it wasn't that big of a problem. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I remember when I rented my first apartment, and it was like a 3-bedroom apartment in Etobicoke for $750. And when like housing is affordable, you just don't spend a lot of time thinking about housing. It's when it's like really kind of pinching all these other parts of your life that you talk about it. I think ultimately it comes down to political leadership, right? Because this is ultimately a regulatory problem, it needs a regulatory solution. And I think that at all levels of government, we have political leaders who have, for a number of years said reasonably good things on housing, but we're not seeing the action. And it's not because of any like real constraints. Like I think you could just do things. And I think that's certainly true in politics. There are political leaders around the world that are much more willing to just do things. And I think you often see that they can move much more quickly and your society could change much more quickly than you thought. But we have at all 3 levels of government, and we could talk about, whichever one you want. We have leaders who are not really putting the pedal to the metal.
So how do we change that? What do we have to do? What's your thoughts?
You either have to put more pressure on our current leaders, or you need to get involved and organized and, get new leaders. And this is
so unpack the first one.
Yeah.
So pressure.
So
how can we put more pressure?
Well, let's say municipally. So we had this vote in council just a few weeks ago to extend these multiplex permissions and increase them from 4 units to 6 units.
Yeah.
Small change, but a change in the right direction. Councillors disagreed on whether or not they thought this was a good idea, and ultimately a compromise was struck in council where only 9 out of 25 wards adopted these new permissions and the rest did not. Olivia Chow, our mayor, has what are called strong mayor powers and has the ability to just kind of like force this through with, I believe it's a 1/3 vote in council without needing, 50% of council, but just 33%. She chose not to do that. And, people could speculate as to why she chose not to do that, but she has the power. She could have got it done and she didn't get it done. And ultimately politicians respond to political pressure. So like, I think a good guess is that she's getting more political pressure from old people who don't want these in their neighborhoods than from young people who do want more housing options.
Damn. What are strong mayor powers?
So strong mayor power, the kind of like...
I've heard of this term recently.
Yeah, the most basic thing is that we have 25 wards and 25 city councillors in Toronto. And it used to be that the mayor was 1 vote like every other councillor. Which means that you still needed 50% of council to vote on any motion to have it pass.
50%.
Yeah. Now the mayor can, this is limited to, issues that are provincial priority, and mainly that's housing, the mayor can get things passed with only a 1/3 vote in council.
So the way it would work, if you have 1/3 and the mayor says, no, we're just doing this.
Correct.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah. Like the idea is that,
does that apply to anything?
no. So this is provincial legislation that applies to the city, and the province limited it to areas of provincial priority, which is right now mostly just housing.
Let's go to the bottom of this document. There's something interesting here. Mayor's veto and provincial priorities.
Yeah.
COTA allows the mayor to veto a bylaw not related to the city budget, which is dealt with under a separate process. If in the mayor's opinion, a bylaw or part of it could potentially interfere with a provincial priority that is set through legislation, the mayor may also introduce new matters without notice to a council meeting in order to advance a provincial priority. That's kind of cool.
So you'll see that the only two provincial priorities right now, which are good priorities, are building more housing and building the infrastructure needed to support more housing.
Let's read this out.
Yeah.
Provincial priorities that have currently been set through legislation are: 1, building 1.5 million new residential units by 2031. That's what you said, kind of.
Yeah.
1.5 mil. The construction and maintenance of infrastructure to support the accelerated supply and availability of housing, including but not limited to transit, roads, utility, and services. Council is always also able to make decisions with a 1/3 vote on matters relating to provincial priorities. Interesting. So that's outside the bounds of the mayor's strong mayor powers, right?
Well, council, if the mayor basically like enacts these, like the mayor has to be part of that 1/3.
Yeah.
If not, the mayor,
I see.
yeah, as you can see, the mayor could also veto things in the other direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she didn't. So she had the ability to use her strong mayor powers to do something that would like dramatically increase the.
I would say marginally increase. It was still a very small move, which makes it even worse that she didn't even use those powers for such a small move.
Is there any analysis on this, like why that is?
There's speculation. You know, the two big theories, and the reason I say speculation is because she hasn't, in her own words, kind of elaborated on it. One is she just disagrees with these powers generally. She thinks they're undemocratic, and this might be because
the mayor, I see.
Like these were powers given to municipalities by Doug Ford, a conservative premier, and Olivia Chow as an NDP mayor. Just might not like the concept in the abstract. So just like on principle, she won't exercise these powers. So that's theory number one. Theory number two is that she is looking to next year where there's another municipal election, and she is more worried about upsetting NIMBYs than about getting YIMBYs on side.
Damn, these NIMBYs and these YIMBYs. It's such a frustrating thing when something is fucked up, and like the problem is just people are not agreeing yet. Yeah, it's weird.
It is because
I don't like that.
Well, especially if you come from tech, where a lot of what you do is permissionless, right? You can just launch things, you can just ship things. This is like the opposite of that. Not only do you need permission, you need kind of like most of Toronto to agree with what you want to do, and that's a very frustrating and constraining thing.
But the core dynamic of this, like people have to be able to see that if you can't, like, I don't understand how someone would possibly disagree with this. Like maybe I need to talk to some like NIMBY people, because
you got to bring them in.
Yeah. Like if you know somebody, because I am actually confused as to like why someone would be against the idea of making it easier for people to like afford a place to live and to like build things. Well, it's got to be a framing thing. They got to be viewing it as like, this person is going to come into my space, it's going to fuck it up. It's like they're like immigrants ruining the country or some shit. It's got to be something like that, because there's no way they're saying no to the idea that I don't want my country to be great, or that I like the future like of the, I don't know. Is it that?
Well, the key thing in the term NIMBY is in my backyard. So if you talk to most NIMBYs, they'll say, yeah, we need more housing, we need more immigrants, we need young people to have more opportunity and more affordability. All of that is great. Just make sure it's not in my backyard.
I see.
And if everybody says that, then you're kind of stuck. And it's basically that they have these conflicting priorities. One, these kind of like high level abstract ideals on a better country and better life for future generations. And then these other ideas around like, I kind of like not having a shadow on my backyard. I kind of like having street parking that's not like being competed for. You know, I kind of like all these things. And often those more local priorities win out in their cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, not in my backyard.
Every NIMBY, well, I maybe that's too generous. Most NIMBYs are pro housing, just not in their backyard.
Yeah, so they see the broader benefit. They just don't want it to affect their day-to-day life. But another part of it's got to be not just the street parking and stuff like that, but on some level, like if there's more housing in their area, then that's going to reduce the price of their asset. No,
a lot of people are concerned about that. I think the concern is overstated. Like if we had 6 unit permissions citywide, I as a developer could now pay more for your house because I could build more on that lot. It's kind of like a mixed effect. Like to the extent that we upzone Toronto, probably tertiary cities lose land value because most people don't want to live in like Milton. They live in Milton because they can't afford Brampton, and they live in Brampton because they can't afford Toronto. Yeah. So to the extent that Toronto fixes this problem, I think it takes a lot of pressure off these other communities. Maybe those land values drop. So there is for sure at a like regional level, there is that effect.
So you think it's less that with the NIMBY thing, and it's more things like street.
Yeah, it's like it's again like I go back to status quo bias. It's like you grew up on your street, you raised your kids, and it looked and it felt a certain way, and you kind of just got committed to that. You know, another maybe again more grim way to think about it is there's a pet theory of mine. The more your neighborhood changes, it kind of reflects that you're getting older and closer to death. So maybe you could stop time changing and stop your own death if you could stop your neighborhood from intensifying.
That's crazy.
That's a little too much psychoanalysis.
Can you find a video on like YIMBY versus NIMBY or something? Is there any like foundational pieces or like media you've seen on this, like the YIMBY versus NIMBY thing?
Well, one of the foundational pieces on like the importance of housing policy generally is called.
Let's watch this.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't hear in the headphones though. No, but I can go like this.
Some of these signs are from Toronto, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got these two forces, NIMBY and YIMBY. And NIMBY is basically saying you can build, let's do this. We gotta find a way I want to live in a great country, but I just don't want these things affecting where I live.
Yeah.
So what's the YIMBY people are like, I don't care. Like,
yeah, YIMBY people, again, you have like very local.
There's got to be way less of those people.
Way less YIMBYs?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, well,
right?
they're certainly less politically powerful because, again, these are often young people that are facing this acute need to like maybe rent a bigger space because they want to get married, start a family, whatever, rent a house. Often a lot of that energy kind of dissipates when they do finally claw their way into the market. Yeah. Whereas NIMBYs, this is like their biggest investment, their biggest asset. Like they're totally committed to the stability and preservation of their neighborhood, and they'll go to war for that. So yeah,
it feels like a lot of this is just also like a lack of vision.
I totally agree.
Like none of these are like this. Like this shit's not that complicated.
Well, when I talk to
they're basically saying like, hey, I don't want you to build this project, and then all this effort and like work that I've put into this primary financial asset, and like it's just going to get fucked because now you're building, like, obviously they're going to think that, you know what I mean? Like, so every solution would have to factor in the implications. Like you'd have to be like, what's the plan for the people that like have invested in this kind of like existing structure? Like what's the plan?
I think a lot of it is just kind of like painting the picture. You know, when you talk to a lot of these NIMBYs who oppose intensification of their neighborhoods, they kind of like paint this picture that their neighborhood's going to be destroyed. Yeah. But then you also ask them like, what sort of cities do they like traveling to and visiting? And they're almost always like denser European, Southeast Asian, even American cities that are more walkable, that have more street level retail and restaurants and cafes, all these things that they would fight to the death in their own neighborhood. They actually quite like when they travel. And I think it's kind of like painting the picture of what a positive YIMBY-ish future could look like. And I think a lot of people could buy into it if they could visualize it. And I think there's a little bit of a gap there where a lot of YIMBYs focus on like the language of legislation. It's very kind of autistic in a way, whereas people just want, you know, they want you to paint a picture of what their neighborhood could look like if you got your policy agenda passed. Totally. And I think more people should focus on that for sure. I think that's part, but I think another part of it is also like, okay, let's say you have like a vision, right, of what it could look like. Well, then it's like, what if that vision, what if we work towards that, and the resulting implications of that are that like my house totally drops in value. Right. I think like you got to kind of like, this might not be, maybe this is out of scope, but I think in some way you got to factor that in. Cause I think a lot of it is like, even if there's like a compelling vision, well, the way their neighborhood currently works, the way they understand the dynamics of it, the market of it, they may be making like how do I say this? They're making like a linear estimation that their value of their property is just going to like increase over time as long as the market dynamics that it's within stay stable. Yeah. And so even if you present this like really compelling vision, right? Someone's obviously going to ask, well, yeah, but that's change though. That's like a whole bunch of change. Which means risk. Yeah. And so like, how do you factor that in now? Like you have to factor that in some way, right? And like, you could chalk it up to like, hey, well, you bought this house and there's a risk to that. Like, you know, there's implications. Sure, you could do that, but then you're never going to get past that cultural situation. That's not possible because they're just always going to be like, well, fuck, I don't want to increase my risk. Totally. And so it's just like, I think so this is like a huge challenge. Our new federal housing minister, Gregor Robertson, try to like thread this needle by saying we are pro affordable housing, but don't worry, that doesn't mean we're going to like impact anyone's housing values. And you know, I think the big problem with how you communicate this is you can't reliably predict like what will happen to housing values. Like I mentioned, on one hand, if you like flood the market with supply, generally speaking, prices come down, including the price of your house and the value of your house. But, you know, another effect could be that your city becomes even more attractive, even more dynamic, even more people want to move to it and prices go up. So I think one of the problems is like you can't like accurately predict what will happen, but it does introduce this uncertainty and this risk which people don't like. And you know, I think one political question is that fear of change and of risk enough to like not do anything about this big problem? Yeah, but another question could also be like, could you just reduce the risk? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you could. Like, one not perfect analogy is we have in Canada, you know, this dairy supply management system. Yeah, so what is that? So dairy supply management is a series of measures, including tariffs and quotas, that basically protect our Canadian dairy industry. Dairy supply management. Dairy supply management in Canada is a system designed to match milk production with domestic demand, ensuring stable prices and income for dairy farmers, while also providing consumers with a reliable supply of milk and dairy products. It operates by controlling the quantity of milk produced and imported to meet the needs of the Canadian market. Wow, that's cool. I didn't know that. So what it means is that it's very expensive for us to import, let's say, American or European cheese. We have very large tariffs because this system wants us to prioritize domestic producers. And so when was this created and what were the results of this system? I don't know when it was created, but two important results. One is that we have a very prosperous domestic dairy industry. Dairy farmers are quite rich in Canada. and quite politically powerful.
In Canada.
Yeah,
Yes.
mostly in Ontario and in Quebec. Mm-hmm. The other consequence is that Canadians pay much more for dairy products than the rest of the world.
Oh.
So there's been a lot of, and not only that, but this is often a sticking point in bilateral trade negotiations. So often the reason why other countries won't enter into free trade agreements is because we refuse to reform this to allow even access to our market to their dairy producers. Mm-hmm. So there's been a lot of advocacy and calls to end this process or end a system so that Canadians could get more affordable dairy. But then you say, well, these dairy farmers have invested a lot in their dairy farms. They invested a lot of political lobbying to maintain this system. If you don't have some sort of bailout to them as part of this change, it just politically will not happen. When Uber first came into most cities, it was the same thing with like taxi medallion owners. It's like, should we bail out these people who invested hundreds of thousands into the permission to like ride and drive a taxi? And I think like maybe you could have a conversation along those lines. Like, what does beefing up or somehow kind of like supporting existing homeowners so that they're not so afraid of new housing supply impacting their housing values? I think, the reason why housing is harder than I think dairy or taxis is it's just a much, much bigger part of the economy. And it would just be like very expensive to like guarantee, let's say, some base value on their house or something like that.
Yeah. Damn. This is like so fucking important.
Yeah, totally.
Like this is like the problem of the time in this country, basically, right? Or at least in this area.
I think it is in the country because even if it's more true in Toronto than in other parts of the country, although it is becoming very true in most Canadian cities, Toronto's the economic engine of Canada. I think responsible for like 1/3 of our national GDP. If Toronto is sick, everybody's going to feel it. And if Toronto's not living up to its potential, everyone's going to be poorer than they otherwise could be.
This is like, it's interesting because like, it's this kind of weird, fucked up situation that you just like, this is like almost like what the gate in front of like greatness.
I totally agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where when you make like a strong decision about this, whatever way you go, it's like just the gates are going to open because this is like what's holding everyone back, like psychologically.
I mentioned we were talking about foundational pieces. There's another piece called The Housing Theory of Everything.
Oh, I've heard of it. I've come across this. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it kind of explains how housing is about more than housing. So you talk about this gate. It's not just the gate on housing being affordable and cities growing and becoming more interesting and globally competitive, but it's also on the gate on things like, can you start a family? Can you have kids? Which are very important decisions for most people.
Can you pull up The Housing Theory of Everything?
It's the gate on things like, can we live, low carbon lifestyles where you could walk to work or cycle to work or take transit to work and not have to drive to work?
There's this good sentence at the beginning here. The Western housing shortages do not just prevent many from ever affording their own home. They also drive inequality, climate change, low productivity growth, obesity, even falling fertility rates. The idea here, I'm still processing this piece, but like the idea here is that like what you're saying, it's at the core of so many aspects of what it means to live in society.
Yeah.
So I actually read this and started looking into this, and then I tried to look at other places and how they approach housing, and I found that in Singapore, like 80% of the public housing or something. I think we talked about this on Twitter or something.
Yeah.
80% of the housing is like public housing with like rent to own or something like that.
Yeah, they do 99-year leases effectively, which is kind of like trying to approximate ownership, but the government maintains the actual title.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of that? You've probably looked into this.
Yeah, I actually lived in Singapore for a bit. Singapore is a very interesting place, where I guess we could take this a few ways. One thing that's important to know about Singapore is that it has a highly competent political layer and as well as like a bureaucratic layer. So their public servants are like very smart, very educated, very well paid, and generally make very good decisions. I don't think that's true in Toronto, Ontario, or Canada. Singapore is also a place that has very low tolerance for like vagrancy and crime and that sort of thing. I think one issue that a lot of YIMBYs need to come to terms with is that, one of the things that motivates NIMBYs is the fear of disorder. Yeah. Where if you allow for more density in their neighborhoods, does that mean there will be more crime? Will there be more homeless people? Will there be like more tents in their parks and that sort of thing? And I think this is actually like a legitimate fear that people have. Most people don't want, homeless encampments in their parks. And a lot of YIMBYs, just by virtue of being young and very kind of like empathetic, don't prioritize those issues as much. I think it's not a big deal if like there's a homeless guy sleeping on a subway. But if you want people to accept their neighborhoods becoming more urban and more city-like and more dense, I think you do need to take those things seriously. And Singapore has. There's basically no vagrancy, no crime in Singapore.
Wow.
Sometimes maybe they go a little too far with, people call it Disneyland with the death penalty. But what that means is like you don't have this knee-jerk opposition to density, because density comes with cleanliness and order and safety in a way that in a lot of American and Canadian cities it doesn't.
So when you say like it's like too much at times, like what do you mean?
Well, when I flew into Singapore the first time, they gave me a piece of paper that says, if you have any drugs on you, we'll kill you, basically.
Really?
Yeah. You will be executed.
Holy shit, really?
I was not smuggling drugs into Singapore, but yeah, they'll kill you.
They'll kill you?
Yeah. They have zero tolerance for drugs in Singapore.
Oh, wow. Like what's considered a drug?
Like weed is a drug.
They'll kill you?
Yeah, they'll kill you.
For real?
Yeah. And again,
holy shit. That's crazy. So like if you have cannabis on you in Singapore, you get,
because to even get cannabis into Singapore, you have to smuggle it in, and the penalty for smuggling drugs is death. And for that reason,
holy shit,
there is no drugs in Singapore. And again, like,
has anyone ever died in Singapore for like cannabis?
We could probably look it up. I don't know, but my guess is yes, because that is the criminal penalty. They also have, I don't know if you're familiar with the caning.
I think I've heard of it.
Where there was a big story in the 90s where a few American expat kids were doing graffiti, and they got caught. And if you do graffiti in Singapore, you get whooped with a bamboo cane. And it became like a political level up to like Bill Clinton, up to the president's office. And Lee Kuan Yew, the president at the time, said, "We see how your American cities are." This was in the 90s when American cities were going through a very rough time. Like, we don't want that, so we don't need your advice. We're going to beat these guys with a cane so that nobody else does it.
Wow. Has anyone died from? Yes.
There you go.
People have been executed in Singapore for cannabis-related offenses. Singapore has some of the world's strongest and the world's strictest drug laws. And laws in Singapore permit the death penalty for people convinced of trafficking more than 15 grams of heroin, 30 grams of cocaine, 250 grams of meth, or 500 grams of cannabis. How much is 500 grams? That's like 10 dimes? 10 dime bags? No, wait. That's like 50, sorry?
50.
Damn. That's a lot.
Yeah, I don't think we should become Singapore for a few reasons.
So what happens if you only have like 10 grams of like weed on you?
Maybe you just get beat with a bamboo stick.
Wait, go up. Let me read that top thing again. Recent executions for cannabis. Tangaraju. What is it? Does that say Tangaraju? Shout out Subio.
Look at this. For abetting the trafficking of approximately 1 kilogram of cannabis, which is, by Canadian standards, that's not a lot of weed.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be when I was growing up. That was nuts.
Yeah. Now it's like,
That was like, have you ever seen the movie Blow?
Yeah.
All my friends wanted to like be like that guy.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp and Blow.
He would not be like, in Singapore.
5 dime bags of cannabis, and they'd be like, "Yo, I'm that guy." Penelope Cruz is my wife. The 37-year-old ethnic Malay Singaporean. Wait, hold on a sec. Let's see this. So Tangaraju Supio, 46, was executed on Wednesday, 26th, April 23, for abetting the trafficking of approximately 1 kilo of cannabis. It's not crazy. Notably, Tangaraju was not caught with the cannabis. Oh, shit. Prosecutors said phone numbers traced him as the person responsible for coordinating the delivery of the drugs. God damn. The 37-year-old ethnic Malay Singaporean was executed on Changi prison on the islands of East Coast Dawn on Wednesday. Wow, that's so hardcore. Maybe that's what we need to start doing.
Yeah,
maybe that's our issue.
Personally, I would not go that far, but I think we're too far in the other direction.
Oh, really?
I think we're if you go, and again, I think the reason why this is underrated by YIMBYs is not only are they young and very empathetic, but they're young, so they're high energy, you know, generally strong. If you're like an old lady walking with her grandkids in a park in Toronto and you have some people openly doing drugs in a tent encampment, you don't want to go back to that park. Yeah. And maybe you don't even want to live in the city anymore. And I think that's bad. So I think we're too far in the other direction.
Yeah. So you're basically saying like this is hardcore, but there's also value to this, right?
The value from like an urbanism standpoint is nobody is scared of density. Like they don't associate density with crime and disorder because there is no crime and disorder.
Because of the risk of doing anything fucked up.
They have a zero tolerance policy for crime and disorder.
So what's it like being there when you're like walking around? Can we see a POV of like walking around Singapore? Like what's the...
Yeah, Singapore is an awesome city that I would not want to live... Well, maybe now that I have kids. When I was younger, I was there in my 20s. I wouldn't want to... You have to kind of like go out to Bangkok to release some steam. But it's like a great city. It's a city that, you know, the saying is that it went from third world to first in one generation. Mm-hmm. It's like a tremendous success story. And I think a big part of that is because they take these strong positions on what they want their society to look like, and they enforce them.
Let's see. You should, if you go to YouTube and you type in like Singapore POV walking or something. Let's see. Singapore POV. Yeah, walk. Yeah. Night walk. Did you like walking there at night?
Yeah.
Let's look at the night. Let's go look at the night. Yeah. Let's look at this.
It's a beautiful sight.
Oh, I hear the audio now too. You can kill it though for now. Vince. So what's it?
So that's Marina Bay Sands. That's like a casino, hotel, entertainment complex.
Oh, they have like casinos and stuff there.
So that was an interesting one because
this is beautiful.
Yeah, and this was a fishing village in the '60s with
shit.
with like regular race riots. It was like not a nice place.
But this is like insanely beautiful now.
It's a special place.
What's it like when you're walking around there? Is it like quiet? Is it kind of like Japan or something?
It's you know, it's urban and it's dense, so you have the ambient noise of being in a city. At this time of the day, it's probably like high 20 degrees. It's like a hot place. I find the people very friendly. They're all English speaking, which was like a big decision they made as a country to all prioritize speaking English.
They made that as they transformed the country.
It was a conscious decision by Lee Kuan Yew.
So they changed their main... So in 1960s, none of this was created, and they like adopted English and did all this stuff?
So the big population groups in Singapore are ethnic Chinese, ethnic Malay, and ethnic Indian to a smaller extent. And again, there were like race riots between these groups. There was... So when Lee Kuan Yew... when they were basically kicked out of Malaysia and Lee Kuan Yew took control, he wanted English to be the primary language, both to unite the country, but also to make it globally appealing and competitive. And he also, you know, another thing that I wouldn't probably adopt here is he put some restrictions on speech, especially when it comes to like criticizing other races and other ethnicities to try to curb this like antagonism between races.
Interesting. So they were in some ways like very heavy-handed.
Very heavy-handed in many ways. I mean, on the other hand, like economically, they have a very low tax burden, very little regulation. So they're much freer from an economic perspective than we are. But they are more heavy-handed on some kind of like civil or civic issues.
Do they have natural disasters here?
Typhoons.
Oh, yeah? Vince, have you been to Singapore? No? Damn. Like, look how beautiful this place is. Look at this garden.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, look at these trees.
And also like notice what you don't see, what you might see in Toronto. A guy like peeing on a tree with a, in a tent in the background.
I feel like the food's probably better here, though.
We have more variety of food, but Singapore...
they don't have like good jerk chicken out there, man.
They have no good jerk chicken. They have no oxtail. They have these things called hawker centers.
I take the dude pissing, bro. Like, instead of like no jerk chicken.
That's the trade-off.
Yeah, I take it.
So they have... Are you familiar with hawker centers?
Oh, I've heard about this.
So this it's basically
like this is like plazas, but like
that's right,
like crazy on steroids or something, right?
It's like in
hawker centers.
Yeah, so in apartment complexes, you have effectively like an outdoor food court, and it's so good and so affordable.
Outdoor food court?
Yeah, that most people don't even cook their own dinners. They just go downstairs and eat at one of these stands.
So this is it?
Yeah, this is a hawker center.
There's many of them?
Many. Every neighborhood.
So what's the difference between this and like a food court?
It's like a food court. It's
like, why is it notable? Because no one's like, oh, there's a food court in like Eaton Center, you know?
Yeah. Well, one thing that's notable, it's like, it's as if like every apartment complex in Toronto had a food court.
Oh, it's in the apartment complexes?
So they have them in like commercial areas, but they have them in residential areas, like throughout residential areas.
So that's the difference.
Yeah.
The difference is that imagine a food court, but like
in your apartment building.
Yeah, in your apartment.
Like,
that's
you know, the Waterworks
amazing.
building, not too far from here, they have like the food hall or whatever. It'd be like as if every apartment complex had something like that, but it was also much more affordable.
But we should just do this.
It's a great idea. Yeah, it's very
like,
cool.
I feel like this would like bang here, right?
I would love to live in the Waterworks building for that reason. Just have the food hall.
The Waterworks building, that's like at
it's on
Portland, Richmond and Brant.
Yeah,
that
right by
area.
the Ace Hotel and
by that park.
Yeah.
We gotta look into that project too. I want to see that, the Waterworks project.
Yeah, it's a cool one. Ben used to live there, in fact.
Let's see. Is this it? Diamond Schmidt.
Yep.
They did a good job on this.
They did a great job.
I remember hearing about this project before it was built, and then all of a sudden it was just there.
Yeah, I used to go to parties in the old like a hydro building, I think.
When you walk around that area now, it's kind of like trippy because it's like,
I think it's one of the better
no, for sure. But I mean, like, what I mean is, it's like how different.
Yeah,
because like,
totally.
Because I used to live there, and so you get used to like where your eye can like see the sky and stuff. You know what I mean? It's hard to describe, but like when these buildings come, you kind of feel like you're in this like little pocket.
Totally.
But they did a good job of. It created that effect, but they did a good job of integrating that park in like a really cool way.
It feels like
this is cool, that diagram.
Not all of Toronto feels like a city. This part of Toronto feels like a really cool city.
It's a step in the right direction. Yeah. So here you go. So like here this is the building component broken down into like structural layers outlining also their functional purpose. So at the bottom you have one, which is the food hall, which is kind of like the hawker hall.
Yeah.
It seems like. And then above that, they've got a pool in there too.
Yeah, I guess so.
The YMCA pool. And then the 4, they've got like a residence tower, and then 5 is like Eva's Phoenix, whatever the fuck that is.
I think that's a youth shelter.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
My bad. I thought it was like some bar.
I think it's a youth shelter.
Okay, so scroll down a bit. So who did this project? What's the history of this project? Do you know? Why is this project good?
I mean, one thing that makes it good is that you had this base building that existed before. It's like a heritage building. Yeah. So it just, the streetscape doesn't have kind of new school spandrel and metal panels. It has this nice masonry heritage building. And then it's a part of town that's rich enough that could charge high enough condo prices or rents that you could support all these other amenities. Like the food hall, again, is not very affordable, but it is awesome. So it's probably not a solution for the whole city, but it's a cool little thing for that building. Like their sushi option is like omakase, which is just a reminder that
is it good?
It's pretty great. Like compared to food court sushi from 20 years ago.
I saw Vince like nodding. So there's something about this omakase place. Like what's omakase?
It's just like a nice place where they'll make like, the 1 or 2 pieces at a time and hand it to you.
Oh, really?
It's like, it's pretty cool.
Do you have a video or like, do you have this? Omakase?
I think that's it, aburi.
Yeah. Is that the name of the restaurant? Is that like aburi? Oh, so it's a type of way of plating sushi? So you just sit there?
Yeah, it's like you kind of like sit at the counter and...
Omakase is usually when like the chef chooses what they want to serve you.
Oh, really?
So,
yeah, so this is not technically omakase, but...
option of doing omakase, but you can also just order a la carte.
There you go.
I should go to this place. I want to do this. I wonder what the best omakase sushi is in Toronto.
This is one of those things where when you think about like how does economic growth feel like, if you compare food court sushi from the 90s to the early 2000s to like today, Waterworks building, it's like you see the progress we've made on at least this narrow dimension.
Looking at that would be a really cool like little documentary project. Looking at the progression of food court sushi as a way of evaluating societal progress.
Or even think
It's
about
fucking
burgers.
dope.
Like the best burger, I remember when Hero Burger first came out, and that was gourmet. Now Hero like doesn't make top 20%. Pizza's
People were
gotten way
losing
better.
their minds over Hero Burger.
Food is somewhere where we have seen, I think, steady improvement over time.
The food in Toronto is the best.
Yeah,
that's the most futuristic part about our place.
Totally. I mean, not to
omakase in Toronto leaves your meals. Here are the best omakase in Toronto. Go down. Sushi Kaji. Have you been here, Vince?
This one's on Queensway in Etobicoke.
The Etobicoke mainstay offers nothing short of quality. Helmed by longtime chef Mutsuhiro Kaji, this restaurant exclusively serves fresh fish that is imported daily from Japan and a dried bonito soy sauce that Chef Kaji makes from scratch. Damn.
So he's trained a lot of people that own their own restaurants in Toronto.
Really?
Skippa is one.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure. But he's an OG.
And that one, you would not, like just looking at it from a street view, you would not think it's like...
Can we pull this Sushi Kaji up?
It's like a... Yeah, let's see.
Oh, so this guy's like a...
So if you could like zoom out to like a... Yeah.
It only has 691 ratings.
It's just kind of like, this is like not like a very nice stretch of Queensway and
This is
Etobicoke,
fucking amazing.
but it's like what some of the best sushi in the whole city.
Like including Toronto and everything, for sure.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm gonna go here. I like the branding a lot. That looks dope. Wow. What's your favorite restaurant in Toronto? Fucking Baskin Robbins.
Yeah.
Is this guy like from Japan? Like, is he born here? We gotta talk to this guy. He must have a crazy story. Yeah,
I'd want to know how he picked this location, because it's not obvious, right? It's not downtown.
But there's parking on the left, right?
I think it's cool where it is. But
yeah, it is definitely cool. It makes it cooler where it is.
Yeah, it's off the beaten path.
Chef Kaji. Yeah, this is nice. For over 24 years, Sushi Kaji has been at the forefront of omakase. Is that right? Omakase? Omakase. Sorry, man. Omakase experience in Toronto, offering one of the most authentic sushi in the country. Our chef, Mitsuhiro Kaji, only selects the freshest fish sourced from discerning local vendors and prestigious markets in Japan and beyond. The highest quality ingredients to craft the best omakase course every day. You gotta scroll down. At Sushi Kaji, we offer omakase course as the primary dining experience. No a la carte options will be available to ensure the best experience. We highly recommend booking your reservation in advance. Have you been here?
No.
Damn. I wonder how hard it is to get a reservation. Can you get one on the site? Contact menu? Contact? Let's book a rezo. Like, can we get one for tonight? 4 guests? Tonight. Nothing tomorrow night? What's the price? Prepaid. So it's one price. No?
Yeah.
It's one price?
Often omakase is that way. It's like a prefix, basically. You
just pay like 150.
It's like the tasting menu of sushi. They just bring you cool stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there a spot available tonight?
There you go.
Like how far, like what's the next available time?
August.
Oh, counter?
Probably August 6th.
Really? What about for like one person? What if you change the guest to 1? Then is there anything available tonight? Yeah. So that's available, right? Tomorrow? 8:15 p.m. at the counter? I like this place. This is my kind of shit. This is cool. What's Thursday? I'm going here for sure. Damn. I want to get to a point where this is like all I eat.
Yeah. That's a good goal. You only eat the best sushi in the city every day. Yeah.
Like I just show up there, you know what I mean? Like he knows he's expecting me there at like 12:15. I just show up. Yeah. Oh, okay, here. So they go, our new dine-in menu is Chef Kanji's own creation using ingredients selected for availability, quality, and freshness. We are unable to accommodate custom menu for guests who do not consume raw seafood. So sushi, omakase, appetizer, kaji selection of sushi, soup, or noodles, and dessert, 120 per person. So you get the sushi, the soup. Oh, soup or noodles.
Mm-hmm.
I go for the soup, man, and dessert.
This is really cheap for omakase.
This is really cheap?
I think so.
Wow. So we're going here for sure. Kaji selection of sashimi and wagyu sukiyaki. Omakase to go? Wow, that's crazy. That's fucking insane. Sushi and sashimi box. I want to buy that. I want to buy a sushi box from there just to see like how much sushi's in there. $100? I need to start eating it. Oh, it's 9 pieces for $100. Damn, I'm fucking getting that. Imagine being at a point in your life where you just drive to Etobicoke and you get takeout with this guy. You just drop. You only eat sushi that's $10 a piece. That's great. Look at this.
Flown in from Japan.
Man, I gotta try this. This is such a gem. I didn't know about this. I'm so happy to have discovered this. And it's in Etobicoke. This is why I fucking love this whole area. Stuff like this.
It's the beauty of cities. Cities have things.
Is that him? Oh my God, I have to meet this guy. This is nuts. Damn. And he's just like slicing these up across that fucking Baskin Robbins. just like, who knows how good this guy is, man. Just sitting across that Baskin Robbins. Oh, is this have audio? Wait, what? What's the sushilegend.com? Sorry, Chris.
No, it sounds like he's going to leave soon.
This is all related to housing.
When was his video made? We got to catch him before.
Yeah, that's how I know. Did you get a little bit of panic when you? I
haven't been yet.
Fucking stressed out, man.
It's my part of the city, and I haven't been yet.
Oh, it's you. That's you in Etobicoke.
I grew up in Etobicoke. I'm in Hyde Park now, but close
Dope.
enough. Yeah.
Wait, it's closing. Fuck.
No.
That's a different one.
Oh, okay.
This kind of covers all sushi places.
Oh, okay. So is there go to sushi review rankings.
This is
Oh,
global.
you can't sort it? No, this is the sushi legend.
Right.
So it's her. Oh wait, it's she's rating it like Tokyo. Yo, we already passed. There it is, Sushi Kaji. But that's not a ranking. Where's the numbers, man? You know?
Yeah.
Can you click on Sushi Kaji? Does that lead to anything? Go down? Or you can go right there. What if you click on its title? Yeah, let's see this. You never know what you're looking at from the outside. That's what Chris was saying. In a nearly abandoned strip mall in Etobicoke, Ontario, pretty much a suburb of Ontario, sits one of Canada's best restaurants. For many years, it's been mainly a curiosity to Toronto's foodie community. That's because it was by far the highest rated restaurant for food on Zagat. Do you know what that is, Zagat?
No. She said it was Yelp before Yelp.
Oh, okay. The location, that was interesting too. What the other interesting thing about this place was that on Google Maps, it only has 600 reviews, which is a lot, but it's not
for a top restaurant. Yeah,
you think it would have 1,600 or 2,000 for something like this.
Yeah.
The location and the fact that it was omakase only meant that it remained relatively unknown. That makes sense because how many people know about this? And,
sure.
As my interest in sushi continued to grow, kaji became somewhat of a holy grail. And so Vince was saying that this guy seems to have also trained a lot of the chefs in the city, or chefs that have gone to do their own thing. So that's some interesting research to investigate there. So when Ms. Legend and I were going on our first Toronto sushi date, I couldn't think of a more appropriate place. To say that the front of the restaurant looked nondescript would be an understatement. Even the person who first penned the saying, "Don't judge a book by its cover," would have dropped kaji off the half-price bookstore. The inside of the restaurant, however, is exactly what I look for. Dimly lit eating area with few amounts of seats. Well-lit, open-concept sushi bar with the kitchen hidden from the view in the back. The key to Kaji Sushi Bar is the amount of space that Master Mutsuhiro Kaji and his staff have to work with. Kaji himself works quickly in front with the sushi, but fresh vegetables, cooked fish, meats, and other ingredients are all prepared with ample room in other areas of the open concept sushi bar. There are only 2 menu options at Sushi Kaji. Feeling a bit hungrier and wanting the full experience, we opted for the Wagyu option. It's pricey at $150, but given that every piece of fish you eat there has been flown in from Tokyo Bay within the past 24 hours, it's not outrageous. How the fuck is that even possible? How is that even possible, man? Yo, how is that possible?
Yeah,
like that fish you eat there has been flown from Tokyo Bay within the past 24 hours. You know what this is? Have you seen the movie Jiro Dreams of Sushi?
Yeah.
The documentary?
Yeah.
So at the beginning, whatever, he has that day or whatever, he goes into the fish market.
Yeah.
And he picks his fish.
Yeah.
This dude
has a guy.
Puts
it on a plane.
Like he's calling somebody.
Yeah.
And be like, so what's a fish like this morning? And you know what I mean? How is that possible?
And he gets it that afternoon.
Dude, this should be way more than $150. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
It's pretty amazing. This is like Amazon Prime for fish. Next day delivery, same day delivery. Or did they
flying
I think they said
fresh sushi from Tokyo Bay to Toronto involves a complex cold chain logistics operation that requires precise timing, temperature control, and regulatory compliance. This is fucking insane. This is insane. Transportation chain. The journey typically takes 14 to 18 hours total, starting with immediate refrigeration after preparation in Tokyo. The sushi travels by refrigerated truck to Narita or Haneda airports, then via cargo or passenger aircraft to Toronto Pearson International Airport, followed by final delivery to the destination. Fresh sushi must be maintained at 32 to 38 degrees Fahrenheit throughout the entire journey. This requires specialized insulated containers with gel packs or dry ice, temperature monitoring devices, and backup cooling systems. Regulatory requirements. Both Japanese export and Canadian import regulations apply. This is fucked. There needs to be a documentary about this because even this is Claude's interpretation of it, right? The reality could be a little bit different.
Want to know a crazier version of this? Have you ever heard of CAT? KHAT?
No. That sounds familiar.
Could you search cat smuggling to Toronto? So CAT is basically like KA. This is basically a drug that
KAHT, right?
HT, yeah, that is big in the Somali community
in Toronto.
And this basically has a similar supply chain and logistic because I think from the moment it's harvested to when it's consumed has to be very quick, and it goes through this whole thing that the fish goes through.
This?
I haven't.
It's edible,
but what makes this harder is that it's illegal. So it has to go through that whole process, but smuggled.
Damn.
So this is pretty fascinating. Cool. Yeah.
Cat. Yo, Vince, it's you chew it.
Yeah,
I've heard of this. Yeah. I've seen it in movies. It's kind of like a chewing tobacco thing.
Yeah, right? And I think it's like I
read about this before.
It's like caffeine. You get energy or something. Yeah.
The Canadian Border Services Agency seized approximately 23 kilograms of the banned stimulant cat at Pearson International Airport earlier this month. What's the date on this?
This is recently.
July 21st, 2025. All right, so the shipment was sent from UK and was intercepted on July 10th, the CBSA said. Following the seizure, the drugs were turned over to the RCMP. Cat, otherwise known as Catha edulis, I think I said it right, is a controlled substance in Canada. It is illegal to import or export it. The drug is chewed as a stimulant. It can make people more alert and bring about a feeling of euphoria. According to the Canadian Centre for Addictions, the plant is deeply embedded in social gatherings in parts of East Africa. Can we look up what using cat feels like?
That's crazy.
Yeah, and again, I think it has to be...
Claude, ask it. What's it like?
It has to be fresh when you consume it. So they have
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I think you have these complicated logistics plus the added challenge of not getting arrested.
Cat produces mild stimulant effects similar but generally weaker than caffeine or amphetamines. The active compounds are cathinone and cathine, which affect the central nervous system. Users typically experience increased alertness, reduced appetite, elevated heart rate, and decreased need for sleep. This is chill, man. There's often a slight... This is like their Tim Hortons.
Yeah. So taxi drivers who like work all night, this is
like
powered by
like, yeah,
Cat.
this is like their double. It's like just part of their culture. Just let them have the fucking...
Sure.
There's often a slight increase in blood pressure and body temperature. The mouth may become dry, and some people experience mild euphoria or increased sociability. Cat commonly produces enhanced focus and concentration, increased talkativeness, and a sense of mental clarity or alertness. I would try it. Effects typically begin within 15 to 45 minutes of chewing the fresh leaves and can last 2 to 4 hours. The plant needs to be, this is what you're saying, the plant needs to be fresh to be potent, which is why you're saying this is the smuggling is interesting, because the freshness has to do with the potency of it.
That's right.
And so, is there anything about logistics of smuggling cat into Toronto?
This would be a great documentary.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
sure you wouldn't get anyone on the record, but like...
Well, you should go in Toronto. I wonder if there's anything.
Yeah, it doesn't want to. It doesn't want to help you. What about how long do you have from harvest to like consuming it? Without while it still has its properties. Yeah.
With maintaining a high level of potency.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So this whole thing, this idea of like these fast imports.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting subject.
Yeah, totally. This is like globalism, right? Look at that.
Cat has
24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, so they got to get that in fast.
They have to get this from East Africa to, wherever in Toronto.
This is a crazy good
smuggled in 48
man.
hours. Regularly, because some people really like this stuff.
Yeah, logistics of this is...
The shelf life of most drugs is like much like better, so it's easier. This is like really top tier stuff.
Fresh cat leaves maintain their highest potency for approximately 24 to 48 hours after being picked. The concentration of cathinone, the primary psychoactive compound, begins declining almost immediately after harvest. Cathinone is unstable and breaks down into cathine and other less potent compounds when exposed to air, light, and temperature changes. Within 2 to 3 days, potency drops significantly, often by 50% or more. Cool, dark conditions, minimal air exposure can extend the viable period somewhat. Traditional methods include wrapping in banana leaves or damp cloth and keeping refrigerated. However, even under ideal conditions, the decline is rapid. The short shelf life is why cat distribution has historically been regional, limited to areas within a day or two of cultivation sites. It's also why dried cat has much lower potency and different effects than fresh material. These guys are probably eating this and they're like, it's just not like at home, man. It's just not like at home,
Yeah. But still, even if it's 72 hours, that's like...
that's fast.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Let's go back to the sushi thing for one sec. Yeah. The logistics of importing these two products reveal fundamental differences in legal frameworks, shelf life, and regulatory. It's crazy because we're trying to build houses, and then there's some other motherfuckers that are importing sushi within 24 hours.
The things we could do if we were unconstrained. Yeah, humans could do great things.
Man, I think this is this thing about the sushi. I actually think it's probably worth making a documentary about this and finding. I think it's probably worth highlighting things we do fast.
Sure.
Right? Because I think what happens is because housing is this core issue that we're all dealing with, and because it's slow, you can start being well, that's just how we move.
Yeah.
We're just a slow country, right?
It's good to benchmark it.
Yeah, we don't actually highlight the things we do fast. If this person if this is a restaurant owner in Etobicoke that's doing omakase, and actually pulling in the sushi.
Yeah.
And like actually like on the phone with
Yeah.
the people there, calling in, asking what the cuts are,
Getting it done.
preparing his kitchen. It arrives, hoping it arrives on time. He's got like a shipment tracker or something.
Yep.
Like that is insane.
Yeah. And a big contrast to everything else.
Big contrast to everything else.
Yeah.
Omakase originates from the Japanese phrase omakase shimiyasu, which literally translates to I leave it up to you or I trust you. Wow. The practice emerged from traditional Japanese dining culture where customers would trust the chef's expertise and judgment. The concept reflects fundamental Japanese cultural values of craftsmanship, shoku onin, seasonal awareness, and the relationship between artisan and patron. It embodies the principle that the chef, having trained for years and understanding the day's best ingredients, knows better than the customer what should be prepared. While the trust-based dining concept existed in various forms throughout the Japanese cuisine, omakase became particularly associated with sushi during the Edo period. Sushi was originally street food. A lot of stuff starts out as street food, which is interesting.
And then just gets refined.
That's a pattern I'm noticing. Yeah, a pattern I'm noticing is like as I'm talking to people and like understanding the different cultures and stuff, like a lot of things start out as street food.
Yeah.
A lot of new things. I guess because it's like in a more experimental place, right?
Yeah.
Where like you just set up a stall and just start like cooking stuff. Like the banh mi sandwich was like that.
Yeah. Street food is like the like garage of startups, you know.
Yeah.
It's like it's where you try things and then whatever works you move into a shop and so on.
Is it easy to start up like a street food spot in Toronto?
No, very difficult.
Man.
Very difficult. And we could talk about that, but yeah, it's very
Why
difficult.
is it?
So we have all these rules around food carts and food trucks, and some of the rules relate to a food truck could only park some distance away from a restaurant so that it doesn't compete with that restaurant. This is kind of like the restaurant NIMBYism, which just means that most of the city you're not allowed to park a food truck, and you can't have like food carts, which is why we don't really have many in Toronto.
Oh my God.
Our-
So
our
where
whole
do we
city-
do rules well?
In Toronto, I don't think we do rules well in Toronto. Like Toronto succeeds despite the rules. We just have like interesting, smart people from around the world that move here, and they end up doing cool things, usually in kind of like lower regulatory burden fields like tech.
Damn. Man.
Like, could you imagine what our street food scene could look like given
It'd be insane.
given all the cultures here?
It'd be fucking insane.
And we don't have it. It just doesn't exist.
Yo, man, how do we change this stuff, man?
Yeah, I don't know. This is like the waspy roots of Toronto, where everything needs to be run through the municipal licensing department, and that's not how cool things emerge.
Okay, so here's an interesting example then.
Yeah.
Ridgeway Plaza
Yeah.
in Mississauga.
Yeah.
So this plaza, I was just actually like, I heard some stuff about this. So I think there's like 1,100 units in this plaza.
1,100.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
1,100 units. 1,100 units.
I can. Yeah. Like.
Look
So
it
I
up.
guess you
Maybe
have-
it's wrong. That's what I heard. But yeah. But then the other thing is that this plaza, it's like I got to study it more.
Yeah.
Like, I got to go there and just fucking
Yeah.
think. Like
Yeah,
I just got to like pull up in my car and just like sit
Watch.
outside and just watch, because I've heard some interesting little. I've been there.
Yeah.
But I haven't like processed it properly, right?
Yeah.
And I've heard some interesting things. So the first thing, whether true or not, like I heard it's 1,100 units.
Sure.
The other thing that I heard is that they're getting like crazy tickets and like fucking like the plaza is like breaking a whole bunch of rules.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like it's just out of control.
Yeah.
And so what's happened is, I gotta investigate this. This is like also worth, but I heard there was some like, there's some reason the location of the plaza relevant to like the way food was being like catering was being done.
Mm-hmm.
I think in like the Persian community or something, like how catering was being done, like this plaza geographically became this like optimal point.
Sure.
Where instead of doing all this catering, they could just like open restaurants or something here. I gotta look into it.
Like pull
but
up,
there's
yeah.
there's something to do with the location of it relative to the way that the food was being made.
Yeah.
And the routes. And this place has become this like Ridgeway Plaza in Mississauga has become this like cultural accident.
Yeah.
Where it's just like the plaza is out of control.
Yeah.
Like, but in a good way. Like it's like if you look up Ridgeway Plaza at night, it's fucking crazy, man. It's like it looks like you're in like Bangkok.
Another way to say out of control is it's unplanned.
Go to videos.
Right? You can't plan for this. You need to let it emerge.
I think we've watched this before. Wait, go forward. Yeah, find a yeah. It's the largest food plaza in North America.
Amazing.
It's best shawarma in Buffalo, bro. Get the fuck out of here.
This is our hawker center.
Brar is there too. This is nuts, man. Vince, you haven't been here, right? It's nuts, man. It's nuts.
You don't find this in Buffalo.
This plaza is nuts, man. It's nuts. Oh, we went to Shawarma Avenue.
Oh, he's from Buffalo.
Yeah. I mean, respect for coming out to Ridge Bay. That's pretty dope. Dude is having a shawarma in Saga. And his previous best shawarma was Buffalo.
Loving
Who
it.
knows? Origin of plazas. But the thing is with plazas, like I think the architectural term of the plaza is like I don't think they mean like Ridgeway Plaza. You know what I mean? Like there's like those
Smaller ones. Ridgeway is just like a really big one.
No, I also think when people talk about the term plaza, I don't know if they're referencing this. Maybe this is like a North American thing. I don't know.
Like when I think of plaza, I just think of like you could pull up and park in front of the.
Okay, so you see this? Like, just look at this image, right? I haven't seen anything like this anywhere in the world.
Sure.
Of all the places that I've been,
This is very GTA.
you know,
Yeah.
the Laziz, Gongcha, the jeweler spot. This is different than the hawker centers, right?
Yeah, it's very different.
So what's different about? I mean, obviously the layout and the thing, but I mean in
There's
terms of the
also-
cuisine makeup.
Much more variety here.
Right.
Hawker centers, you'll have some like mostly Sing options, some Malay, some Indian, and that's pretty much it. And even then, it's kind of like Singaporean Indian and so on. So most hawker centers all have the same options. This is like, you know, you're getting your shawarma next to your biryani, next to your jerk chicken, next to your like pancette or something. It's this could only happen. Maybe like parts of Queens have things like this, but this is like very GTA.
Can you see an overhead view of this plaza? It's kind of nuts. Also, like Chris, I feel like this kind of story, this information, I feel like it's not like told properly.
I agree with that.
You know what I mean? Like this, it could be packaged in this like really compelling way. Like it's like we need to be like more proud of this stuff, man.
I don't know if you so Tyler Cowen, who's like a famous economist,
Yeah.
said that Scarborough is
Yeah.
the best food city in the world. And if you have to ask which restaurant, you're missing the point. The point is that the variety and the volume and again, this is like what has made Toronto and the GTA special. But it used to be that you had more spots like this in Toronto proper. Now I think you're seeing it more in the 905 as people get kind of pushed out.
It's really cool that dude was able to like pick up on that. That was like when I read that, I was like,
He gets
oh
it.
shit. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah.
If you look up Tyler Cowen Scarborough like food, not on Google Maps yet. You got to go like Google proper. Tyler Cowen Scarborough food. And Yeah, like
the
click
dining
this.
capital of the world.
Yeah. Click this. And before we read this, let's go to Tyler Cowen's Wikipedia page. Click that. All right. So this is the dude. Tyler Cowen is an American economist, a columnist, blogger, and podcaster. He's a professor at George Mason University, where he holds the Holbert L. Harris Chair in the Economics Department. In April 2025, Cowen began writing as a regular contributor to the Free Press. Previously, Cowen wrote the Economics Scene column for the New York Times, and then until April 2025 was a regular opinion columnist at Bloomberg Opinion. He also wrote for sub-publications as the New Republic, the Wall Street Journal, Newsweek, blah, 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 blah. He was ranked at number 72 among the top 100 global thinkers in 2011 by Foreign Policy Poll of Experts. So ranked number 72 among the top 100 global thinkers. So I knew of this guy. I've seen his work.
And I think he's like risen in status since 2011.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's top of his game now.
For sure. And like my perception and from what I'm hearing is like this guy's like a really smart individual, right?
Absolutely.
But when I read I was like, oh yeah, okay, this guy's a top 100 global thinker, 100%. So go back over the thing.
And he travels a lot. So
So this is that guy.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, Wednesday night I was taken to a restaurant tour of Scarborough, 4 different places, plus rolls from a Sri Lankan local, consumed in the office of the dean at U of T Scarborough with the assistance of Peter Lohan. After that eating and lots of driving around and looking, I concluded Scarborough is the best ethnic food suburb I've seen in my life, ever, and by an order of magnitude. I hope you all have the chance to visit Scarborough, Ontario. If you are wondering where I went, that is beside the point. I read that, and I was like, oh yeah, this is a top 100 global thinker. Like 100%. This guy's a fucking genius.
He would love Ridgeway Plaza. Yeah, he would love it.
You know what I mean, though? Like the fact that like they're like, oh, hey, check out this plaza, and that's his take. I'm like, okay, you're a fucking genius.
He gets it.
Yeah, because like, oh, you have that kind of pattern recognition and like whatever else that you're doing.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know. Like if you go around.
Oh, I know this guy, this commentator. Funny enough, he lives in Toronto.
This dude, Jeff?
Yeah, he was a McKinsey guy in Toronto.
That's cool.
But yeah, I mean, Saga's up there. Like the 905 generally, it is the best variety of food in the world for sure.
But we've done such a bad job of communicating.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Right?
Yeah.
There was this guy I met. He's from New York, and they grew up in New Jersey. And he said, I asked him, how would you compare the food in New York City to Toronto? He's like, it's even. And I was like,
I don't think so.
Yeah. You think Toronto's better?
I think so. Toronto. Yeah, I think so.
So the thing that I always hear about comparing food to Toronto, New York, even if I'm talking to chefs, is like they'll say on the day-to-day level, Toronto's food is better than New York. You walk into a plaza, you just go like eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Yeah.
You're going to get 7, 8 out of 10 every time.
Yeah.
Right? At the highest levels, New York City is better.
So New Jersey, I said. New York, I think, is a better food city than Toronto. Because even like day to day.
Well, he was saying New York City and Toronto even.
But if you go to because he's saying like Toronto has better day to day food, New York has better high end food.
No, his thinking, he didn't break it down like that. He just straight up thought it was even.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. I think it's the only place that I would think is competitive in America.
Okay, so there, right?
Yeah.
And so when he said to me, it's like even.
Yeah.
Or when you're saying that statement, I was like, isn't that crazy? Because that's like a controversial kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like even to say, okay, well, New York City's better, but the only thing that has even a close chance to compare is like Toronto.
Yeah.
And maybe it's better.
Yeah.
Maybe if upon investigation.
Yeah.
Right? This guy's like, it's even.
Yeah.
But if you go around like the world and you ask people like, hey man, like,
what are the great food cities?
They're not even going to say Toronto.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how like we've done a really bad job of
marketing.
Really, really bad job. And I have a theory on this. I've talked about it a bit before. And I think like if you think about Canadian culture and you like break it down to like versions, right? Like V1 and V2. Yeah. And so like V1 was like, you know, like you got like beavers, snow, hockey, all this kind of stuff. And then what would happen was as immigrants came to the country and like build on the incredible foundation that this country had and like built their own identities and and like, you know, built their families and contributed to the now culture that we see in the Greater Toronto area. Yeah. which is like an important part of it, right?
Yeah.
Like you and me are not the same color of skin, but like you could be like, yo, Vin, you gotta check this shawarma spot out, right? I'm
Sure.
like, all right, I'll check it out, right? That guy's got good taste in
Yeah.
food, like I'll check it out, right?
Yeah.
Or you just sent me down this rabbit hole on this like sushi spot. Like we're you know what I mean? We're like products of this like environment, right? Like I have like a not bad wrist shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like it's like there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And so like I think that but the problem is I think we didn't do a good job of like actually like we like got all these wins in the V2 culture, but we didn't like package it and update our culture and like our symbolism. And I think that actually that held us back, you know, because now we're like retroactively, like now, like there's so much we've achieved that no one knows about. Yeah. It's kind of sad, you know?
There's just to add to that, Tyler Cowan also runs, I think it's called Simple Ventures, where he gives he gets applications from mostly young people from around the world that are doing something cool that he cuts like a $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 check to. And he said on a few podcasts and he's written, I think in a few articles, that the best applicants by far are suburban Ontario, 905.
Wow.
So not only do we have the best food, he's saying we have, for at least, you know, his narrow scope here, the best talent in the world. And to your point, you know, right now in the country, I think there's this kind of like backlash against immigration levels. I don't think most people realize how much of our culture and talent is like has benefited from, like, say, the last 20 years, maybe 50 years of immigration. And it takes people like Tyler Cowan who are a little bit weird to point that out, because most people, I don't think, quite recognize that.
That's sad, man.
Like if you search, what would you search?
Because all my friends are so proud of this.
Yeah.
You know, like all my friends are like different colors of skin, and like we crack jokes and
search Tyler Cowan Emergent Ventures Ontario.
It's like a video.
Well, he said it in a podcast at least.
Maybe you can find a clip.
Look at this. Virtually. So this one, the second link, how to find the most talented people on earth.
Oh,
so we just talked about the best food on earth. Look at this.
Oh my God.
Yeah, read this.
Holy shit. This is the how to find the most talented people on earth. This is the title of my latest free press essay. Here's one relevant example. The suburbs of Toronto are one of the most neglected talent areas. Cities such as Mississauga or Brampton are now quite familiar to me because so many emergent ventures winners grow up from there. Yeah. Virtually all of these young applicants from Ontario are either immigrants or children of immigrants. My unconfirmed hypothesis is that the most ambitious immigrant families decide to live in Ontario rather than other parts of the country. After all, so much of the opportunity is there because Toronto is the largest and most important city in the country, but they cannot afford Toronto proper, and so they end up in the suburbs. These teenagers have a stable and productive environment, but because of their backgrounds, typically from poorer countries, they do not take success or prosperity for granted. That is an ideal combination of factors for success. Yeah, like, damn, man. Yo, you know what, Chris, what really makes me sad, man, is like I read this and I already fucking know this.
Yeah.
Like anyone who grew up here, dude, they know this, man.
What makes me sad is the next generation might leave because it's so unaffordable. Like now I know a lot of these young guys that he's talking about, they're moving to the Bay Area. They're moving to Texas.
For sure, 100%.
So like this like thing that is very hard for us to foster, the best talent and food in the world, you know, those are pretty good things. We're kind of like, we're fumbling it.
Yeah. You know, most of the projects I've worked on in my career, it's like this. It's like, let's say if we break it down into two layers, right? The source material, and then the conversion of that source material into something interesting.
Yeah.
Most projects that I've worked on that have not worked, or I walk into the situation and I'm like, oh, this is kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
They're super ready for the conversion.
Yeah.
But the source material is like they were dead on arrival.
Sure.
That's how it usually looks.
They didn't have
right. They don't have the ingredients.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it's like kind of like you have to decide in this project that's probably not going to work. Do we have enough, maybe some ingredients where we could try and spin this into something interesting?
Yeah.
But I think what's so frustrating, and maybe why people get interested in this, start investigating, is because in this situation, source material is incredible.
Yeah, totally agree.
The source material is insanely valuable.
Yeah.
And it's like the conversion layer is
so it ends up being like
it's so fucking frustrating.
Missed potential or unrealized potential.
Yeah.
Which is the most frustrating thing in the world is unrealized potential.
And the frustrating thing builds because you read something like this, and this is like a very intelligent outsider saying something. And of course it's interesting when an outsider validates it, but then it hits so much harder because you're like, I know, I see this every day of my life. Yeah. This is like, this has been years of this. Like I've grew up like this, man. This is fucking nuts.
I know.
Right? Like this is not like, oh wow, what a poetic illumination of the culture of our. Yeah. This is like, this is what I fucking see every day.
Yeah, finally someone noticed. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, we gotta like.
And he has like, you know, the reason why it's cool, it's not just outside validation, but he has the data points. Totally. He gets applicants to his program from all over the world.
Yeah.
And even with those data points, he landed on suburban Toronto as the best talent in the world.
Oh man, we gotta change this, man.
Yeah. Well, we gotta
change this, man.
It'd be like, such a fumble. If
I don't want to wait, man. I don't want to wait for like people to die and stuff. You know, like I can't wait, man.
It's a tough problem. It's because the other thing is like all these smart young people, you know, the way to change things is to get them involved in politics, but like they all have actually better things to do than get involved in politics.
Damn.
Politics is a major distraction and it's like an energy suck. And I know because I get very involved in politics. Yeah. It's like you don't actually want to get involved in politics.
So why is it that that's what needs to happen? Forgetting the energy suck thing, but like why is that
because like again, ultimately what's holding us back is our policy, it's our regulation, it's our taxes, and that could only be changed at the political level.
Damn.
This is why you have in the US so many more tech founders getting into politics, because at some point you hit this wall or this ceiling where you're like, the next step involves changing a law. So now I need to get involved.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it's a much more toxic place.
Yeah. It's like a meta, you're hitting the limits of the overarching mechanics of the system.
Yeah. There's like a permission space, and then like you bump up against the limits of that permission space. And in the built environment, when you're talking about housing, like that permission space is very, very narrow.
Doesn't this drive you nuts?
Yes, it does. You know, the only thing we say to ourselves as like professional real estate developers is that, you know, one, the mission is good, it's worthwhile. And two, you know, a more practical consideration is that if this were easy, there'd be no room in it for us. Like it would be kind of like an institutionalized industry where you'd have Brookfield building all the homes. You know, we create value to the extent that we're willing to take on this brain damage and kind of like break through.
Is there any way where we could like systematically solve the housing crisis? Like, let's say we let's say we laid down like a map of like the Greater Toronto area.
Yeah.
And started like making a plan. Like, well, how would we do that?
Let's pull up Toronto official plan maps. So if you go to that first link, and then land use, so maps 13 to 23.
I'm actually becoming familiar with this website now.
Yeah, so whichever part of the city you want to look at.
Let's go. Yeah, we clicked on map 18 before, so let's do that.
Okay, so map 18, we're in map 18 right now. Red is mixed-use areas. You're allowed to intensify in mixed-use areas. You could build mid-rise buildings. Some places you could build high-rise buildings. You could have commercial. You could have residential. Yellow is neighborhoods. We call this the yellow belt. Just as you can't really build into the green belt outside of the city, the yellow belt is very hard to build into, and it's very hard to intensify. When we looked at that 3D map of Toronto, the yellow areas are the parts of the city that are
low rise,
where stability is the policy priority.
I see.
So like, you know, if we changed all the yellow to red, that would be a systematic, you know, issue at the policy level.
Right. Change what's possible to build.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing was, as I investigated this, it's like, okay, see how these are like general categorizations.
Yeah.
So you have like neighborhood and like mixed use. But when you go deeper into that, it's crazy, because even like if something's commercial or residential, doesn't actually mean
there's subzones within them. Yeah, because then there's like
so many.
There's like 5 or 6 residential areas. Actually, no, just while we're here, I want to point out one other thing. You see this orange thing, apartment neighborhoods?
Yeah. So what is that?
So apartment neighborhoods is these kind of like, you picture Tower in the Park neighborhoods in Toronto. You have a lot of these in Scarborough and Etobicoke where you have towers with a lot of grass around them, but they're not like fully integrated into like an urban street. This is, to me, like one of the dumbest land use designations. So High Park.
Can we see an example of that as well?
Yeah. So if you go to High Park, because my story relates to High Park. So you see, so first of all, here, High Park is all orange. And if you Google an image of High Park, You'll see these towers. It's like the typology, we call it tower in the park.
You might have to
Sorry,
type
the
in
High Park
towers.
Apartments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this sort of thing,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
This
I've
is pretty
seen
like,
this.
you could picture it in many parts of the city.
Go to images.
The difference between apartment neighborhoods and mixed-use areas, so the difference between orange and red, is that in mixed-use areas, you could also have commercial uses.
So it's the second row.
Third image, second row.
Third image, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
one.
sorry. So you were saying?
So you're not allowed to have any large commercial use in these neighborhoods. So Great West Life, which owns a few of these buildings and owns some land in here, proposed a Loblaws so that all these people who live in these apartments could walk to a grocery store and buy groceries and go home. They don't need to drive. They don't need to take a cab. It's more convenient. It's more walkable. It's like good urbanism. The city refused them because large-scale commercial is not permitted in this land use designation. Why would you create a land use designation that supports high-rise, high-density residential, but not the commercial amenities that people who live in residential units need? Like, how crazy is that?
That's fucking stupid.
And
So they can't build.
you can't build a grocery store in that neighborhood. It's
But
not
you can't
allowed.
build anything commercial.
You could build. They allow small scale, so you could do
Like
like
what?
a tuck shop at the bottom of your building,
What's a tuck shop?
like a little convenience store.
Oh, okay.
But you're not allowed. So what you have
Is there a
often?
convenience store there right now?
No, you don't even have a convenience. Actually, one of the buildings.
We should open
has.
one. Make just a lot of money.
But it just means that like you're limiting these people's local options to like expensive convenience store items rather than like, I don't know, a grocery store.
Yeah.
Or you can't have a doctor's office. You can't have a gym outside of like the building amenity space. You can't have a commercial gym. It's just
it's kind of arbitrary. It's not looking at it like given the actual situation. It's looking at it relative to zoning that was created at a time that might not apply to the reality.
And I don't even know what the objection is. I understand why some people like low-rise neighborhoods and don't want them to change. I disagree with them, but I understand it.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you wouldn't allow a grocery store to go in the middle of 20 high-rise apartment buildings. That's just insane.
Damn.
Anyway.
How many issues like this do you encounter? Like, has there ever been like a good one? Like,
Yeah,
good thing the zoning's like that.
The good things are things that are like happening now, like that multiplex bylaw. We don't really build multiplexes. They're smaller than what we're interested in, but that wasn't possible or permitted 5 years ago. Now it is.
Yeah.
You could build four unit multiplexes. So like these are baby steps in the right direction. More important than the steps themselves is it reflects a changing in like how people think about cities.
Mm-hmm.
We're now moving into more permissive territory. I think we need to move much faster, but we are moving at least in that direction.
Do you have any, like I was reading on the Toronto Standard website that they were saying that they're betting on like the development of Toronto in like a certain way. It's like you're making a long-term bet.
Yeah.
Do you what do you think is going to happen to this city in relation to this over the next 10 years? 10 years, because it sounds like a lot of what you're saying is based on what you've seen is you're seeing some change, but it's not like, you keep saying this. It's a good step in the right direction, but it's not huge.
But it's not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough. And so what do you think constitutes enough? And do you think like we're trending towards that direction or no?
I think we are trending toward that direction. And I also think that it's up to people to like push in that direction. Like there's this Peter Thiel line that the future is not predetermined. Like it's up to you to kind of like shape it, to the extent that you want to. So I think that people who've gotten involved in this debate over the last 5 years have been instrumental even in this multiplex bylaw passing. So I think, where we want to get to is a city where you could build higher density housing citywide. That might mean something like 4-story walk-ups in every neighborhood, mid-rise on every major street, high-rise in more parts of the city, and then like an approvals process and a tax burden that's not as onerous as it is today. We are moving in that direction. The question is, do we have to sacrifice one generation, in the meantime, while we kind of like take our time with it?
Is that the biggest question?
I think that's a big question. There's also like another, I guess, a secondary question is whether at some point there's some backlash and we start reversing some of these changes. And I think that risk needs to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
But so far we're kind of moving in the right direction.
It just needs to be faster.
It just needs to be faster.
Are there any things that someone can do like outside of like getting involved in politics?
Yeah.
Like what else can someone do to like, if they're interested in like seeing this change somehow?
Yeah. You know, so there's different like layers to this. I think one is at the like interpersonal level. Is just like, if you are the type of person that wants to see Toronto grow and be cool and have more opportunities, I think you kind of like influence people with that attitude. People are influenced by the people they hang out with. And I think that the new generation, again, is much more open to that idea than the old generation has been. So it's just like, I don't know, talking to your parents and your uncles and your aunts more than just your friends. There are things like, you know, we as real estate developers, we get to choose how far we want to push the envelope on any one project, how much more planning risk do we want to take on. But if we do take on some extra planning risk and we get it approved, we're establishing a precedent for other people to follow. And we think that's a pretty good thing. So there are things you could do like that on the business side. But generally it's a cultural attitude. It's a cultural attitude of being pro-growth, pro-future, rather than like, you know, treating the city as something that needs to be preserved and protected from change.
So this is my last question. Can you explain the rent to own model to me as well?
Yeah. So
that's on the Toronto. Is there anything about it, like visuals or?
You know, on our website?
Yeah.
No,
like,
sorry.
Because I noticed at the top, I wondered what that was.
Yeah. So our website.
If you go to torontostandard.co.
Yeah. So what we mean here.
Yes.
There's two. You could. So anyway, what we mean here is that when we build these rental buildings, we own them long term.
Yeah.
There are some developers that build rental buildings and then sell them.
Yeah.
When they're occupied and stabilized. There's a different meaning of rent to own where there's like a housing model where you could rent a unit and eventually buy it. That's not what we're talking about here. Yeah.
So this is this project right here, the upcoming project.
Yep. So that's on Dufferin, just north of Geary.
How deep are you guys into this?
We're in the early steps of a zoning bylaw amendment process. So just getting from like buying the land to shovel in the ground will take 18 months.
From buying the land to shovel in the ground, 18 months.
And we're maybe like 6 months.
That's a long time.
It's a long time.
Yeah. That's a ridiculously long time.
Yeah. That's about as long as what construction will take, is just getting the paperwork to begin construction.
That's crazy, man.
And it was worse 2-3 years ago. It would have been maybe 24 to 36 months. It's gotten better. This is like a better than it used to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is this that same project?
No, this is a smaller one. So this one here is a smaller one we just completed actually.
Oh, it's done?
Yeah. So this one's at a net in Windermere. We have actually a really cool ice cream shop as our commercial tenant on the ground floor called Good Gang Ice Cream.
Oh, it's good?
It's the best ice cream in West Toronto, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah.
Good Gang Ice Cream?
Good Gang Ice Cream.
All right. I'm going to go there too.
I go there every weekend.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's great. And we're leasing up the residential units now.
So this one, there's how many units are there in here?
5 residential units, 1 commercial unit.
This is a really nice looking structure.
Yeah, I don't know if Street View would have the latest. Like this is a rendering, but the finished product looks basically just like that. I think it looks very good.
That's really cool because you built the ice cream shop at the bottom, then you've got people living there.
Yeah, you should be able to do this like much faster and easier. Basically,
and the top is
everywhere.
like another unit at the top there.
Yeah, it kind of steps back a little bit, and then you have a.
So actually, really the second, nice looking structure. If
the
you put
third
it
and
up on
fourth
Google
floor,
Maps, man.
The third and fourth floor are actually 2-level units.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this is the old building that we replaced. So I guess
this
it's
is
not.
the older one.
It's not updated.
Yeah.
If you Google 656 net and go to images, I wonder if there's like a photo.
That must be so cool to live there, and then you just walk out and there's an
ice cream shop
right there.
Yeah, so that second photo, that's actually
nice.
that's a photo.
This?
Yeah, that's like not
that's
a rendering.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Good job.
That's before the ice cream shop moved in.
Good job on that. You guys must be proud of this one.
Yeah, that's and it's in our neighborhood, so we could, like it's walking distance from our office and so on.
Respect.
Yeah.
And so the next one's in the works.
Yeah, we've got 3 in the works right now. We might be picking up another one pretty soon. Mm-hmm. 2 of them are meaningfully bigger. They'll be like 40 to 60 units. This one's, relative. This one was good for what it was, but the amount of work that you have to take on, even before construction to get something like this approved, you might as well just do bigger.
Oh, I see.
So we've done these are all projects that we've completed. These are all kind of like smaller. This is how we started in the business. These 3, 4, 5, up to 8 unit multiplexes. Yeah. And now we're more into kind of like mid-rise scale.
This is a cool business.
It's kind of like converting that, what I call it, the 50s Italian Portuguese special.
Totally. It's basically a renovated, retrofitted version of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Really cool.
That's Vine Street. That's just north of Dundas in the Junction.
Yeah, I see these all the time on the walks.
Yeah. So these two here, TBA and TBA, these are
like, seems like the biggest projects you guys have ever done.
Yeah. So these are kind of, again, in pre-construction phases. So
Yo, Vince, can you open this one up?
Yeah. So this one, there's not much detail. You know,
oh, no. Sorry.
Before you get approved, you have to be sensitive on these things because you don't want the neighborhood to be organized in opposition before you're ready for them. This is why we don't put the address as an example, is because you want to time your interface, let's say, with the neighborhood.
I see. My bad.
But anyway, it's in Etobicoke. It's on Kipling. Like we're not very secretive about it, but we just
that makes sense. Though.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool.
This one is actually in the ward of probably one of the more NIMBY city councilors. So that'll be, we'll see how that goes.
So that's like another dynamic of this is just
huge.
Just the realities of like,
it used to be that to be a developer, you were a builder. You were like a construction guy. Now to be a developer, you're like an urban planning and municipal law guy, which is, I think, not a good development.
Yeah.
It just means there's way more nonsense before actual construction.
It's cool. All right, man. Well, appreciate your time. I feel like this is like scratching the surface. I want to like talk to you more about this. I think you're like a really sharp dude. Every single question I was like asking you, like you clearly have been like looking at this thing from like all of these different angles.
Yeah.
I went on chrisspoke.com and I was just like pretty impressed with like the reading list there, like the range of subjects that you're exploring. It's cool, man. You're not just looking at it from like one dimension, but you're seeing it from all of these other dimensions. It's fun. It's fun talking to you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
You seem to know a lot of good food spots too.
Yeah. Well, I again,
got to get your list, man. Well, you didn't answer. What's your favorite restaurant in Toronto?
In theme with like what we're talking about, I don't know if you've been to Drupides.
No.
Drupides is like the best the best roti in the city. A few spots.
Do you pull it up? Let's see.
It's up there for sure.
I can name, there's some like high end stuff I really like too.
Oh, Drupides?
But Drupides is like very Toronto to me.
You like the doubles too, or the rotis?
The doubles, yeah, totally.
So where is this place?
So the one I used to go to often is in Scarborough, but there's one at 27 in Finch. I think that might be that one.
I'm really impressed with your food taste.
You got to check this out.
Yeah.
Let me know what you think.
Yeah, I'll check it out. But I'm impressed, man. You're a cool dude. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's good stuff, man. So
That was just fun.
Yeah, you're doing cool shit, man.